Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim Prister, Tim O'Malley here atop Notre Dame Stadium. Tim, this early in the season, you're not normally saying on September 17th that it's a must-win, but it's a must-win for Notre Dame, obviously. And Drew Pine gets his opportunity, the one that he's been waiting for, the one that he has said he's prepared for. What do you think is going to happen today?
They've put themselves in position for a few must-win games, but this is the biggest one. Falling in an 0-3 hole would be very difficult from the outside perception. It would be difficult inside the walls too, because there's a lot of veterans that expected to be 3-0, and even those that didn't thought they'd be 2-1 and ranked in the top 5 or 6. So the main question I can answer a lot of questions about Notre Dame's team, is I don't know what to expect from Drew Pine. He's never played a full football game. He's never played more than a half and a smattering in there, and I think it will be intriguing to see how Cal adjusts with their quality defense. It's been that way under Justin Wilcox for years, to Drew Pine's strengths as they present and as the game goes on. We always talk about Notre Dame halftime adjustments. Let's see Cal's, because I think that's going to be important in this game.
Very true, and I think we all expect, at least Tim and I do, that Notre Dame's defense is going to come to play for a full game, and it's a good opponent to do it against. Jack Plummer is mobile, and I thought, I went back and looked at my notes last year when Notre Dame played Purdue, and he was, I thought he was very accurate too. But here's the thing: their offensive line is really struggling. I expect Notre Dame's pass rush to have a big day, which should have a trickle-down effect on the back end of the defense. I think there's a really good chance we see a turnover or two today.
And it's important not to overreact this close into the season, or this early in the season. Remember, going to the Ohio State game, we thought the differentiator can be Notre Dame's defensive line against that Ohio State offensive line. It performed well for 3 quarters, performed well for most of the Marshall game. There were some issues, of course, with run fits, but you expect them to get better. This is the point where they got better last year. This is where the defense started to gel last year against Purdue and against Jake Plummer. And he was an accurate guy, but it was 25 for 36 for 187. Notre Dame's going to live with that. I mean, if you're going to dink and dunk like that, Notre Dame will beat you out here today. It's the question for me is Jaden Ott going to be the 3rd straight week where Notre Dame's running backs are the 2nd best set of running backs on the field?
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, opposing running backs have put up big numbers. The other question here is, how does Notre Dame's offensive line handle their defensive front? It's a little bit of a tricky front. It's a 2-4-5. You have two down linemen and then some stand-up linebackers. Cal, not to the extent that Marshall did, but Cal has brought in talent too from the outside, and it's mainly on the defensive side of the ball.
And we're concerned, obviously, about the interior with Zeke Corral going against Ricky Correa, 335 pounds, and not just 335 pounds, but he's the guy you look at on tape. He's the guy Marcus Freeman mentioned when I talked about the unique front, and you've done a lot of scouting on Cal. We can call it 2-4-5, but boy, they really know how to use those edges. It's not like, a 2-man front, Notre Dame can run. The goal is to not be able to run and create some confusion.
When you see 2 guys on the line in a 2-point stance, you think, well, they should be able to run the football, but Notre Dame's not necessarily in that spot, especially since their best runner up to this point, Tyler Buckner, is out. So we'll see what happens here today in Notre Dame Stadium. Green out, Manti Te'o is here. Notre Dame needs a victory very badly.